Well, illness identity syndrome is a person's obsession to maintain their illness because their illness and their symptoms have become such a strong, defining characteristic and their life's purpose. Now, all people with an autoimmune disease or chronic illness have illness identity syndrome. And we fit into, there are two types of illness identity syndrome. And just as if you have an autoimmune disease or chronic illness, slow down, listen up, and be curious about what type you are. Type 1 of an individual with illness identity syndrome, this is the person who has the facade that they make it look like they want to get better. They're saying, yep, I want to get better. I'm trying these different things. But that facade that they want to get better is actually very easy to see through. It's a thin facade. Because the truth is that they really don't want to get better. In this category, what we're doing is we're milking our illness. We are, for the excuse and the attention it provides. And it's actually very obvious to our loved ones that we don't really want to get better and that we want to stay sick. So this is type 1. And I'm coming out here, I was type 1 illness identity syndrome. While in the front, I tried to make it look like lightly. I thought I did a good job, but I didn't. To make it look like I wanted to get better. My whole life was consumed with, supplements, strange foods, blood work tests, doctors, different kinds of practitioners and alternative treatments. I had the healing books. I had, you name it. I was aromatherapy, tinctures. I was trying those things, so I was doing it. But anyone who knew me or lived with me, the other side of that coin was I also would go to the grocery store, to the 7-Eleven, and I would get food that I shouldn't eat, candy bars, and binge eat them in my car. I smoked cigarettes. I stayed up very, very late. I got very little sleep. I did not take good care of myself. And I had an eating disorder. Okay, so it was very obvious to anybody who spent even just a little bit more time with me that while I made it look like I wanted to heal, I didn't want to heal. I liked not having to work. I liked the attention that I got. I liked the excuses that I got. I liked people feeling sorry for me at that time. I was type 1. So if you're out there and you're type 1, I understand. It's okay. Now, if you're not type 1, then you fit into the category of type 2 illness identity syndrome. These individuals also have the facade that they want to get better, and they heal and they demonstrate this by trying new treatments, the latest modalities, the newest supplements, and this seeking becomes their purpose in life. Their purpose in life is solving their medical problem, which is their illness. What makes this type different, very different from type 1, is that instead of a light facade of wanting to heal, these individuals go all in. They go all into all of the treatments to make it look like they want to get better. But the truth with type 2 illness identity syndrome is that these individuals, they've actually figured out that they have a chronic illness or an autoimmune disease that has no known cure. No known cure. So they know that everything that they find or will find or researching will never heal their disease and will never solve it. So a good example of a type 2 illness identity syndrome would be the British podcaster, and interviewer, and personality. His name is Chris Williamson. He has a podcast called Modern Wisdom. It's very popular. And if you've been following him, he's been on about a 3-year quest having Lyme disease. And here at a New Life Center, we treat Lyme disease as an autoimmune disease. But he's been on a quest to heal his Lyme disease, and he is keeping his viewers and his listeners up to date on his process. He's traveling and documenting, going to different parts of the world for kind of extreme and experimental treatments, and also sharing his daily routine and schedule that is timed to the half hour so that he can get all of his infusions and appointments in his quest, again, to heal, right? So he's a good example of a type 2. And just to anyone out there, if anybody out there who's listening knows Chris Williamson, tell him to get a hold of us, that he does not need to go down this journey of all of these experimental treatments. There is one cause of his disease, and it really is his emotional state. So that's why if you look at his treatment schedule, none of the things he's doing are working and why he's getting worse. So Chris Williamson, there is hope out there. Give us a call. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. If you have an autoimmune disease or chronic illness, are frustrated with medications, supplements, or food diets, and are ready to start the journey to finally and permanently healing your condition, I have 2 13-week online self-guided educational programs, the Autoimmune Healing Program and the Chronic Illness Healing Program. Both programs teach you how to permanently heal your autoimmune disease or chronic illness, leave behind those doctor's visits and symptom management, and to finally heal without supplements, medication, or food diets. This is the same journey I took, and why I am over 10 years completely healthy. All 8 of my autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses are permanently gone. You can find the link to apply for a complimentary course consultation with me down in the description below. And if you're not ready to take this step, watch my free 101 course on autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses. You'll also find the link to watch this down in the description. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch today. I look forward to you permanently healing your autoimmune disease or chronic illness.